really looking forward to this session on providing internships and life skills for our students as they prepare to leave our homes. Because really, the end goal of most homeschooling is for our kids to graduate and then take up lives in their own. Not completely. I believe in generational relationships and generational worship and generational service. And my kids were very involved with their grandkids, and I'm very involved with my grandkids and great grandkids on both sides for our parents. So I'm not saying that our kids will ever live in a vacuum, but we want to prepare them for the possibilities that God has for them when they leave our homes. And certainly most of our children will leave. They will remain our friends and our children and our the closest people in our lives, but we do want them to be prepared for life on their own. And so we're going to talk about not just internships. I want to read this list because I think this list is really important. Internships, apprenticeships, shadowing, mentorships, experiences, and jobs. And before I bring our team forward, who has so much to say on this, that's so great, I just want to explain a little bit of the difference. So internships are actually, they can be pretty formal, and they involve being in a company or with an individual in a company where you are really trying to learn what a particular job or a particular industry entails. You most of the time there will be certain hours. Sometimes there's pay involved, sometimes it's free. It just depends. Some are more loose than others. Some can be very, very strict in terms of what the employer is demanding. There's apprenticeship. Internships are more things that have happened since the Industrial Revolution, technology, corporations, those types of things. Apprenticeships are more craftsmanship related, plumbing, carpentry, electrician, those types of things. And there can be short apprenticeships, but formal apprenticeships can be 1 to 3 to 5 years. And so that's also very interesting. Shadowing. My son had our friend was a periodontist, and so my son shadowed him on a missions trip to find out what his life was like and what his professional commitment was. And then when they were back in the States. And so that's shadowing. That can involve 3 months, that can involve a week, that can involve a day just shadowing somebody in a corporate level or a job, a doctor's position, veterinarian, anything along those lines. Mentorships are somebody that you seek out to train your children, and you want this person to really have your trust in the time you're going to give access to your children, to teach them, to guide them in some ways, to disciple them, and provide them information about different career opportunities. And that has a lot more to do sometimes with character and how to work training than a particular skill or a particular job. Experiences. Our kids are having experiences all the time that are preparing them for life in the real world. And I don't want to negate the importance of that. Internships are important, apprenticeships for certain jobs, but also just the experiences you're providing them on a day-to-day basis. Like Joe and I talked about in our session yesterday. If you didn't have a chance to listen to that, I would really encourage you to listen to that just to get your creative juices going. And then jobs. There's some jobs that are flipping hamburgers, nothing wrong with that. Sometimes kids are saving money for a car, their insurance, going to college, those types of things. But then there are also other jobs that prepare them for what they're looking for after high school or college in their careers. So that can involve a number of different experiences as well. So you can see we have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. So I'm going to bring my team in now and let them, not my team, our team, my friends. I admire each one of these women and have so much to learn from each one of them. So Eugenia, if you'll just start, and we'll just go around the circle. Just briefly tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the things you did with your children.
Oh, I homeschooled for over 20 years. Facebook let me know last summer that it has been 9 years since my last one graduated. So they are older now. My youngest is 28, my oldest is 36, and they are living the adult life in their careers. My husband and I wanted to go toward their interests above academics, and so that's what we did. When they were interested in a certain field or a certain thing, we did go and seek out opportunities for them. My daughter followed a veterinarian around one summer, and then we found a program at the zoo. She loves animals, and she decided veterinarian was not for her after that trek, and that was okay.
Oh, and
But
listen, that's one of the great benefits of all of this is knowing what you like and knowing what you don't like.
exactly, exactly. But she ended up getting her biology degree after going out and doing some of the things that her daddy lined up for. My son, he was interested in all kinds of things. IT is where he landed, and that's following in his dad's footsteps. And he actually got to go and apprentice with an engineer one time up in Nashville, and that was pretty cool that he was able to do that. My other daughter, she loved sewing, and so she had an alterations business when she was in high school, and she worked with our pastor's wife and did some alterations and things like that. And now she does it on the side, brings in a little extra income for their little family. So all kinds of things. I could go on and on about different things that we did, but I'll let someone else have a turn.
Shannon?
So I have five, and we started homeschooling back in 1999, and my youngest graduated in 2023. So about 23, 24 years of homeschooling. And for our family, we've done some of the things that you mentioned, different things, not all of them formal, some of them informal. My youngest decided she wanted to get her CNA license while she was in high school. And so she paid for that herself, earned up her money, and did that. And then we found out later that there's a program in our local school district called Youth Apprenticeship. And I run a Facebook group for our local community. And the lady that runs it reached out to me and wants to connect homeschoolers in there. So that's a way some people could also connect in there. But my oldest, she started a photography business when she was in high school, and that really helped her. She followed another photographer for a little bit and then started her own. I have a daughter who did an internship with the theater group that my younger kids were in. She kind of helped and worked with them. Anything that you can find that promotes leadership skills, those are really good things that you want to
Good
look
point.
for.
Mm-hmm.
So I could tell you more. I don't want to go over time.
No, you've got about 45 seconds left. Go for it.
Okay, great. So all my kids did volunteer every summer for youth camp. They would volunteer their time and work. There's another leadership position. They were mentoring younger kids. All of that looks really good on college resumes when you volunteer, especially with children and such. That looks really good on your resume as well. So
Okay. All
Hey,
right.
that reminds me with the resume thing. There's a program through 4-H where they build a portfolio, and that was something where they showed where they worked in the community and things like that. And that really helped with their resume and their college entrance as well. So,
That's an excellent point, Eugenia. And to what you were saying, Shannon, a lot of people now, colleges and employers alike, want to see the community service your children have done. So that's really important to keep up with that. Keep up with that as they do it, so you don't find yourself in their senior year and you've got to go back and reconstruct their 4 years of service projects and time and all of that. So keep up with it as you go, even if it's a very informal log.
I had a
Alice?
conversation.
Oh, go ahead, Shannon.
I just had a conversation with my second youngest daughter about the resume issue, but her thoughts on that. And she said to me, it is better to have quality than quantity. And she has friends that sent out 100 resumes for jobs when they graduated from college, and they got like one call back. She said, I sent out 8 to the jobs I wanted, and I had 4 interviews from those 8. So she spent more time tailoring that resume for that specific job.
Good information, powerful information. Alice.
Okay, I have 5 children. They range from 21 to 32, and they're all finished. We homeschooled for 23 years, best years of my life. And I've been a consultant for 12 years. So mine have done all over. We kind of really focused in a lot on 4-H. That's where we were. We had an amazing 4-H group in our county. And I always thought it was about pigs, cows, and chickens, so I pretty well stayed away. But it is way more than that. I mean, public speaking, there's flower arranging, there's cooking, sewing, you name it, it's there. Forest ecology. And my kids, we really got into it. So my girls did the sewing. They did a lot of sewing. My one daughter, people still come to her and help ask her to sew. One lady asked her to sew a bunch of tablecloths for her daughter's birthday. So anyway, she does that. The other one, she did cooking. That was her thing. And it was because of homeschooling, because it was a survival. I was so busy. She just said, I got dinner, Mom. So she would just do it. But she began to love it. Anyway, she did an internship in a catering company, and actually she's working there right now. So that served her well. And my son was able to go with a seasoned builder. One year he was older and wasn't able to do it. And we found out about it, and he didn't want to go, but he went and he basically built the entire house by the man sitting on the side, telling him how to do the whole thing. So that was huge. That was a big, and the other thing he did was forest ecology. It's where they figure out the trees and how much wood, lumber you can get from it and all that. And we actually had the forester in our county that headed that up. And he had Mark come along and plant trees as they were planting trees for the different areas around for their forests. And he learned a ton. So, I mean, when the opportunities come, take them.
Boy, that's great. I'm sorry. I'm just taking notes because there's some things I want to remember to tell people. And somebody in the group asked about 4-H. What is 4-H? Would you just explain that quickly, Alex?
It's usually in different counties. Every state is different. Every county is different too. The majority of you can find out with your, I think it's extension group, check on the extension group.
It's usually the agricultural folks have the 4-H, and it's the extension of that.
And you can find out what your area, my county was amazing. I still talk to the 4-H leader, even though my kids are out. The last time I called her, she goes, is this really you? But everything was involved in there, even helping. We lived in St. Augustine, Florida. We went downtown and helped the old, colonial area. They needed redo the whole flowers and everything. My kids did that. So yeah, they have a lot of opportunities. Just check them out.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And Nicole, tell us about yourself and what you've done with your kids.
Hi, I'm Nicole. I've homeschooled for 16 years. I've been a homeworks consultant since 2006. I have 2 boys, almost 26 and almost 24. And in high school, they both had jobs. One worked with me at a tutoring center where he was pulling materials, taught him some leadership skills, and he would even sit down every once in a while and assist with the tutoring. He now lives on the East Coast, and those skills have served him well. He also participated in a junior optimist club, which was Optimist is a service organization, and they have junior optimist groups, and we had a specific one for our homeschool, and he was part of that and loved serving. His favorite thing was to go at Christmas time to the Salvation Army and help.
Did she freeze up?
The food and the gifts into the.
She's freezing up, Zan.
Okay. I wondered. Okay. Great. Okay.
Okay. So he did that, and then my youngest participated in a community robotics class with First Robotics. Homeschoolers were participating in that, and he developed an interest in electricity and electrical work. We had we were remodeling the teen room in our church, and one of the guys at the church was helping with electricity, and walked him through that, showed him what to do, then had him actually put in an electrical outlet. And he continued with that. And robotics, we thought he was going to be an engineer, got into the community college, enjoyed science and math, but as he looked at it, went, no, I don't enjoy that. I want to be doing. And he was always my doer. So we took some time and looked at the options. And at the time, all we had was an associate's degree in electrical technology. Well, he started taking those classes, loving them. And as that happened, he got in with professors. And as an apprenticeship became available, he joined the apprenticeship. And he is in his last year. He should take his journeyman's test here in the fall, hopefully.
Oh man, that is great. Well, I'm going to take just a minute or two just to tell you about some of the things my kids did. And we talked about this a little bit, but I just want to show you that a lot of times it's their interest and it's also your interest that will determine where you spend a lot of your time. So with our boys, they spent so much time at the legislature with me growing up that once they were in high school, they were the first high school students, as far as I know, to work in the state house for a senator as a legislative aide or paid or page. And so they did that for 2 years. They spent 6 weeks in Washington as part of the U.S. Senate page program. And what I want to tell you about that is it just developed so many skills and relationships in their lives. One of the boys is involved in state government, which involves a lot of civics and politics. And my other son is in sales. But the lessons he learned were as informative in his life and formative as what John has taken into the actual field of study, just like Shannon and y'all were saying. Lizzie chose a different path altogether with fine arts. So we created, and I want to talk about this for a minute, she would have qualified for governor's school, but that wasn't why we homeschooled her. So we wanted her home for the fine arts, and we wanted her to have Christian instructors. So we set up somebody in the community theater, in children's choir. They traveled a lot, in dance and piano, that were all believers and all had our same values, but could take her to the different levels in these pursuits. And that really ended up for her being broadcast journalism. So as she finished high school, she did an internship, which was fabulous, unpaid, with our award-winning Christian radio station, and then with a television station. So everybody, you can tell from our experiences that everybody's are so unique and different. The thing I would really encourage you to do is really pray. And for those of you who fast and pray, just pray that the Lord will open doors for your children. So I just want to open it up to y'all now. Is there something that's on your heart to share with moms? Is there one lesson you learned or something you learned really the hard way? I mean, I loved what Eugenia said. Her daughter realized she didn't want to do that at all, be a veterinarian. And to me, that's as big a lesson as learning, oh, I really love that. So are there any other practical things and life lessons y'all want to share?
I will say, encourage them that, like for my oldest, she started photography on her own in high school, and my father-in-law saw her interest, and he said, you know what, I will buy you a really nice camera and you pay me back half of every job until it's paid off. And she did that. And then within a few months of her paying that off, he passed away. But she has this very first camera that she saved, that grandpa helped her with. So investing in their ideas and their thoughts. But she did that all through high school and all through college. And it paid for all of her expenses. She started off with just charging like $200 to a friend for their wedding. And then it went up a little bit till she got up to like $1,500, $2,000 for a wedding. And she would make that all summer, sometimes 2 weddings a weekend. And then now she just finished her dissertation, defended it a couple weeks ago, and has her doctorate. It has nothing to do with photography. But God used that job for that time. And now she's an economist and she still loves it as a hobby. So they don't need to feel like, okay, because I'm trying this is going to be my job for the rest of my life. Let them try different things and see what interests them.
that really helps with their leadership skills too by letting them try different things. My boys and my husband, they all were referees, soccer referees from a young age. I think they started at 12 and they got paid, but we were able to help them and teach them how to do their job and do it well and do it by the book. They had to pay for their own training when they were doing the refereeing, and my boys moved on up in the ranks of refereeing and did really well. They didn't want to do that all their lives, but that leadership skills and the different skills that they learned while they were doing that was just invaluable. I mean, it was just so great for them to have that opportunity. So I'm glad that we did that
And it
back in the day.
transfers, like you said, it transfers into all types of area.
Mhm.
Leadership skills aren't relegated to one, like soccer or veterinarianship or those types of things.
Well, they were real anxious at the beginning when they would referee because, you know, they were young and then there were these adults that they were actually having to say, no, you can't do that. And they were like, but mom, you know, it's yes or no, sir, to them. How do we exert, you know, do our authority? And I said, you can do that respectfully. So teaching them how to do their job, but still be respectful to those around them was really important. So, there's all kinds of opportunities out there for our kids to learn those skills.
Alice, I know you have one daughter that's involved in Journey Forth books. So, what would you say led her into editing or writing or whatever skills it takes to do that?
She has always loved to write, always. Even when she worked at camp as a counselor, you know, you have to send letters every, you know, back to the church and everything. At the end of the summer, they were like, "Can she just keep writing those the rest of the school year because we love them?" She loves to write, she loves to read, so that's where her heart is. And even when it comes to when you were talking about resumes, she can find out about the job. I mean, there were times that she was doing a resume and I was like, just get the resume there. And no, and she would study the company and she would gear the resume right to what their needs were and how her set would help them. And she, even if there was one lady, she had 100 people and she got her resume and she said, I want to talk to this girl. So there really is a key to communicating your talents or your abilities in order to get, you know, opportunities. So yeah, that's where she is and she loves it.
You know, I just want to say this too, because there will be times in your child's life it will be worth having someone to pay someone to help them develop a resume. Not always, but if that's not your skill set, I would really encourage you to find somebody who can pull some things out of your young adult and help them put it in on paper in an acceptable way, just like a transcript. We all know that a transcript has to have certain things on it for graduation, for college, for employment, for military, or whatever. And we should view a resume really somewhat in the same way.
My son, for his first job, he worked at a restaurant, a local food restaurant here, but they didn't do applications. They did resumes. So even in high school, he learned how to at least put a resume together and use some of the things that he was doing, like his community robotics, which gave him some leadership skills and things on that and so he learned a little bit about resumes in high school for that first job. And I would highly recommend that if they're going to look for a job in high school, practice writing a resume using some of the things that you're doing.
Yeah, because you've got to be able to communicate what you've done to get credit for it in some ways. Now with the photography thing, she's putting herself through school but still those stories are worth telling. Those stories are worth telling. So Nicole, did you have one? What does your second son do?
He's the apprentice electrician right now.
Okay. And then the other son went to community college?
My oldest actually is a graduate of Bob Jones University.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And what is he doing?
He's not using his degree, which is okay. He's working in a factory right now, but he has those leadership skills and is hoping to move up there.
somebody said that a college degree, and college is not for everybody. We've talked about that a lot during the course of this. But when one of my sons graduated, the statistic was, this was Tim Russert's wife who spoke. He used to do Face the Nation or one of those political shows. And she said that a college degree in many careers is just like a passport. You have to have it to get into the career. And like 70% of the people will not use their particular major. But it's just like the other things we've talked about, those experiences still transfer. And I would say probably today, in today's world, there are just as many jobs that don't need a college degree as do. Tech people, tech people. There's so many people who quit college to develop big companies in their garage, And so I think part of the key is just letting our kids find their way a little bit and let them take maybe a few risky moves.
I have to tell this, Zan. So in having them find their way, I remember when one of my sons, and I won't call the one out, but one of my sons, he was going and looking for a job, and we saw him go out the door. This is when you had to go and go into the stores. He was just looking for a summer job, and he went out the door, and his dad and I saw him go out in flip-flops. And we went, okay, this is going to be a wasted day, but we didn't say anything. We let him go. So he did not have any success that day. I hate to say it. But then the next time he went out, he dressed up and he got looking good and had on the proper attire. And we just shook our heads, didn't say anything again. We just shook our heads and said, now today's going to be successful. And he came back with a job that day. So it does matter. It does matter. But sometimes you just have to let them go and try it on their own.
That's right. And make those mistakes.
That's right. Exactly right. And now he is very successful in his position and what he's doing. And he's really moved up in the world and he's got a great job. So he learned his lessons. And
that's really
and he's actually a recruiter as part of his job. So now he gets to do the interviewing. So,
well, listen, I cannot believe how quickly our time has gone, but I would love for each of you just to take a minute or so. If you need to drop off and come back and listen later, feel free to do that. But just in closing, if you have any thoughts, just random things that have come to your mind, things you didn't get to share at the beginning with the moms and dads in the audience, I would love for y'all to share it. And so we'll do Eugenia, Alice, Nicole, and Shannon.
I think just let them learn and encourage them. Once they turn 18, we're no longer the managers. Mamas, sometimes we're the managers of our home. But once they turn 18, we've done our time, we've done our teaching, our foundation. Now we're the advisors when asked. That was hard for me to learn, but I get asked a lot now, and I'm grateful for that. But I pray a lot too, and praying for them. So, but we have to step back and we have to let them be us when we were that age, where we wanted to learn on our own. But they're going to be successful, and just guiding them while they're young toward that future endeavor is where we're at, and then praying for them as they move on into the journey of their career. And when they come home and say, hey, Mom, I got a raise, or Mom, I got a promotion, be happy for them. And it just, on the inside, we're just like, yes, so it's just a lot of fun. So pray a lot. Yep. They'll do fine.
I would say that go ahead, and if there's an opportunity that comes, I always say, if an opportunity comes by, jump on that wagon. Because when they came, like the opportunity for him to do that, my son to do that, a seasoned builder, he didn't want to do it. And we said, go try it out, see how you like it. He ended up loving it. The forest ecology, he was mad at me and he did not want to go to that club. But my husband said, one day at the club, see how you like it. And he got done and he was like, there's nothing that forester doesn't know. So when my son went to college, he came back and I was pushing and shoving, just like we try to get them to do it. And I was tired because I was like, and my son said, "What's going on, Mom?" And I said, "I'm just so tired of pushing everybody to do things I would have loved to have done." And he said, "Mom, the best things in life I ever did were the things you pushed and shoved me in. So I say push and shove away." So encourage them. I mean, even if it's not anything on their radar, you don't know what God has for them. So.
Amen. Amen.
Right.
I agree with Alice. Encourage them to try things at least once. They don't have to stay with it if they don't like it, but you got to give things a chance, and also be flexible in watching what they're interested in and wanting to do. When we look with Josh, we thought college was the track, and we thought engineering was the track. But when we stepped back and really looked at where his interest lied, the apprenticeship became very clear. So it's okay to take a step back periodically and reevaluate and make sure that you're going in the right direction.
Good advice.
So Eugenia ended hers with pray a lot. And I would encourage that as well. And also pray with your children, because they need to see that answered prayer, and them praying with you. Them praying with you to God gives them that accountability, not just to you, but to God as well. And so that's important. But I would also say, look for things that they're interested in, and go and, like, if they're interested in a certain company, find something where you can go into the office and say, "Can I talk to one of your engineers?" And just sit down and talk with them. What do you, when you hire for this company, what do you like to see? What are you looking for? Ask those kind of questions and do some research there. Because it is what you know, but it is also who you know just as much. And when you can make contacts, go to job fairs, talk to the people, look at all the jobs. You don't have to be at college to go to a job fair. If you see one, just go in and walk around and look. And then talk to people and get those contacts, because I have a daughter who did an internship in college, and now she works for that company and is picking the people for the internships. So it's kind of an interesting thing. She's like, "Mom, I get 100 applications, but if I get a recommendation from someone in the office that says, 'Hey, did you get an application from this person? Because, I know them and I think they'd be a good fit.'" She's like, "I always hone in on that first." So just trying to make contacts and assume that everybody you talk to can be a friend and a help, and don't treat everybody equally, is what she said when I asked her some of these questions.
Well, thank y'all so much for being with us. We hope this has encouraged you. This is just like the tip of the iceberg of everything these women could share with you. But thank y'all so much for being with us. We are praying for you and your families. We pray as a group. And we are just praying that the Lord will give you success in your homeschooling and give them success in the things they pursue after high school and college. So thank you for being with us.